was not directed by Ridley Scott. This was actually directed by David Fincher, I believe, and this is the third adaptation in the Alien franchise. This has to be my favorite horror movie franchise ever, Alien. It's like a great horror movie franchise. So basically, the first and second Alien movies are masterpieces and classics. This one, however, is not. It's not really considered a masterpiece or a classic. So basically, this story basically takes place after the event of Aliens, and basically like that. Ellen Ripley is basically the only survivor and stuff like that. So she is So basically, Ripley crash lands in some kind of maximum security military thing. I don't know what it is. It's something, and then she is being it's some kind of prison maybe or something like that. I have no idea what it is. But she meets these team of members and stuff like that. And she stays with them and stuff like that. And as she's with them, these strange deaths start to occur and stuff like that. And it starts to become this sci-fi horror thing. Because, like I said, the thing that I loved about Alien is that it was a straight-up horror movie. It took its time to be suspenseful and scary. Aliens was also a horror, but it was more of an action, too. And it took its time for the scare factor as well. This is more like a slasher. The death scenes happen very common, and that's one thing I didn't really appreciate about Alien 3, is because the death scenes almost happen a lot, and the xenomorph didn't even look that interesting. The CGI, I'm not gonna lie, the CGI in this movie is almost awful. It's almost bad. The animatronics are good. The animatronics and the props, I don't really consider them animatronics, but the props that they used for the xenomorph were good. I just think the CGI was bad. But I think they could have done better with it. The acting is decent enough. Sigourney Weaver is good in this movie as Ripley. She's not as great as she was in Alien and Aliens, because she was amazing in those two movies. You're not going to get a lot of action-packed fun in this movie, but I think there are some things in this movie that you can appreciate for what it tries to hold on to. But it's nothing like the first two Alien movies, and it's not a classic. It's not a classic like Alien and Aliens, but it is watchable sometimes, and it has some elements, some good elements to it. The story I did like the story in this movie. Some of the characters are forgettable. Others are just placed on the movie just to be killed off. And I really didn't like how they changed Ellen Ripley's hairstyle. If you've seen the movie, you would know what her hairstyle looks like and stuff like that. But I don't know what felt wrong about this movie. I think it was the setting, maybe. I have no idea what was going on. There was something in me that just felt wrong about this movie. I think it might have been the setting that they were in. It just didn't really feel like an Alien movie to me. It felt something more like a military movie to me, and it was just something that came to my head. I was like, am I watching an Alien movie or am I watching Area 51? Seriously. And I was all like, what is this? And I don't know, because when the first two Alien movies, those actually felt like you were in outer space. This Alien movie, it could do that a couple of times, but then it just goes back to the military route. I'm like, okay, what is this? I just want to go back. I think they could have done better with the settings. However, let's talk about the actors. The actors in this movie are decent enough. Sigourney Weaver is good in this movie. And the other actors, they are solid. They're solid and stuff like that. I wouldn't say they're fantastic or anything, but they tried. They tried on what they had to do. The directing in this movie is decent too. It's not Ridley Scott's direction. It's not, but it's still fine. It's still fine. But yes, even though this is not a classic or a masterpiece like Alien and Aliens, this is a movie that you can actually watch and appreciate. This is more like a guilty pleasure sometimes. It's one of those movies you're like, why am I watching it? But at the same time, you kind of enjoy watching it. But I'm not gonna say this is one of the greatest horror movies of all time. It's not. It's not considered a classic. It's not considered a masterpiece, because this is a fine, okay movie. It's not great. It's not good. It's not bad. It's not terrible. It's just okay. Yeah, it's an okay horror movie, and yes, there are problems with horror movies like this, and that's not a bad thing, because there are a lot of movies that have flaws and problems and stuff like that, even when it comes to horror. And I don't know why, but most of the time when Xenomorph would kill someone in this movie, it was mostly off screen. It was mostly off screen, and you don't actually see the Xenomorph killing the person. You just see the person suffering, and you don't actually see the Xenomorph killing the person. And I was just like, okay, can we, I mean, what they did with Alien, the first Alien, they actually did have a great scare factor and delivery and stuff like that. Because they didn't have the Xenomorph show right away. It waited until like nearly an hour to get stuff like going and stuff like that. And that's what makes the scare factor of Alien so special and unique. Like, you don't know what's going to happen or when it's going to happen. It just happens, and when it does happen, it's like, wow, that's freaky. That's really scary. Here, it's mostly death to death to death, and it's mostly repeatedly happening and stuff like that. And I didn't really appreciate what happened, that thing that they did in this movie of Alien 3 and stuff like that. But seriously, I don't want to get really too negative about this movie. It's not a bad movie. It's not a terrible movie. It's just an okay movie. It is a respectable sequel for the Alien franchise. It just doesn't hold up with the other movies and stuff like that, in my opinion. And it's like very hard to hate movies like this. I mean, yes. No. Actually, I can actually see people hating movies like this. I thought this was an okay sequel. It's nothing like the first Alien movie, because the first Alien movie is a classic, or it's not like the second Alien movie either, because those two are masterpieces. This is not a masterpiece or a classic. It's just an okay, respectable sequel that you can rewatch if you want sometime. It's not really that scary. Some of the characters are pointless in this movie. I think the only character that was interesting was Ripley. She's good in all of the movies, basically. I haven't seen Alien Resurrection, but I heard she's in that movie, so I can't really count her in that. But the characterization in this movie, I did like how in the beginning of the movie, where they were talking about the events of what happened in Aliens and stuff like that, where what's her name, Newt from Aliens, the little girl, that she died, and Ripley was trying to figure out what killed her, and then the other guy was telling Ripley that she might have drowned or something like that. I liked how they went with that route. I just wish they continued that and stuff like that. And when the movie progressed, and it was just like, okay, what happened? Like, you just talked about how Newt died, and you're just gonna step away from it and stuff like that and continue? I mean, what? I mean, I really wish they went with that route, because I think that would have kind of improved the storyline and stuff like that. I'll have to say, I didn't really have any problems with the suspense, other than most of the kills were off screens. And when I say off screens, you could barely see the Xenomorph killing the actual person. Like, the only times where you can see the Xenomorph killing the person is basically almost like maybe the last couple of kills in the movie. And that's basically it. The other times when you see the Xenomorph is when it's either chasing someone or when it's hiding somewhere. And the scenes where it chases someone, it's actually kind of fake, because you could tell it's CGI. And when I look at a movie and I know it's CGI, no, I want to look at a movie and see CGI and think that looks real. I don't want to look at a movie, see CGI, and say that looks like total CGI. But however, I did think the other props for the Xenomorph were pretty good. They're nothing like the original props for the Xenomorph, because those, oh my god, I love the original props. I wish they could have used those for Alien 3. If they did, then that would have definitely improved the film. I can't believe they don't use props like that in any movies anymore and stuff like that. Now listen, guys, if you haven't seen any of the Alien movies, if you haven't even seen Alien 3 or any of the Alien movies, I recommend starting off with the first movie and watching Aliens and stuff like that. I also think you should check out Prometheus and Alien Covenant. You don't have to watch Alien 3, but it's a fine movie. It's okay. It's not bad or terrible. It's just an okay sequel, and it's kind of fun, to be honest. I had many problems with it, but it's kind of fun to watch. The story is decent. The actors are good. The plot is fine. The directing is fine too, but there are problems with the movie and stuff like that. I'll have to say, it's not one of the greatest horror movies of all time, but it is a fine, decent sequel to a successful horror movie franchise and stuff like that. And if you've seen Alien and Aliens, and you thought those movies were great, like, if you're a fan of the first two Alien movies, you probably might hate this movie. Or you might appreciate it, depending on what route you either would take or not. But if you haven't seen any of the Alien movies, and you like want to watch them and stuff like that. And if you have no problems with the first or second Alien, I think you might enjoy this one. But I'm not saying Alien 3 is a movie that everyone should see. If you want to see a movie that everyone should see, definitely watch the first Alien and Aliens. Those are movies that I think everyone should see. But this is just a movie maybe strictly for the fans that love the Alien movies. Strictly for the fans that love the Alien movies. And I love the Alien movies. I'm a fan of all of them. But I haven't seen Alien Resurrection though. I've seen all the rest though. And if you're a fan of Alien, and if you haven't experienced Alien 3, I think you will appreciate this movie. You probably won't love it, but I think you will appreciate on what this movie tried to do, even though it kind of failed. But I think you will kind of appreciate what it tried, even if some of the things in this movie are really unnecessary, and some of the things in this movie are just it's just really, some of the things in this movie are really not that necessary. But like I said, it's a movie, and it's hard to say this is one of the worst horror movies ever. I'm not going to say this is one of the worst horror movies ever, because there are a lot of other terrible horror movies out there. Trust me, there are some pretty bad ones. But this is not in the anywhere near terrible horror movies of all time. I did not hate this movie at all. It wasn't bad, it wasn't terrible, it was just okay to me. But like I said, some of the things in this movie, there are problems with it. There are so many problems, but there are some things that I did like about this movie too, that they went with. What they tried to do, I appreciate what they tried to do, even though they kind of failed. Some of the movies just yeah, and even though it didn't really work for me, I'm gonna give Alien 3 a C. So guys, thank you so much for watching my movie review of Alien 3. You might be wondering why I did not do a Christmas movie review. So, I wanted to do finish off the Alien movie reviews last month, but I didn't get to watch most of the movies. I was busy, so I'm going to finish doing the Alien series this month. I don't know if I'm going to review Alien Resurrection. I don't know if I'm going to review that. But if I see it, I will review it. But I don't know if I'm going to review it with the trilogy that I'm doing this month. And I'm also going to continue doing the Christmas horror movie review, so definitely stay tuned for those and stuff like that. But if you're a fan of horror movies and Alien, definitely check out my Alien series review. I already reviewed the first Alien and Aliens, and I'm going to get this movie review uploaded, and then I'm going to review Prometheus, and then Alien Covenant, and hopefully Alien Resurrection. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are the best. Look forward to more movie reviews as long as holiday movie month. And as always, I am Mario Fan 520, and I will see you next time. Peace out.